Victor, yeah, if you want to turn your camera on and your audio and share your screen, we're really excited to have you join us tonight and learn about native land digital. So without further ado, take it away.
Hi, Derek. How are you? Okay. So hi, everyone. Okay. I am Victor Sauca. I am right now doing a job as a research lead for Native Land Digital. So a little bit of introduction about myself before going to the work that I do for Native Land. I am part of the Saraguro people. I am going to show you now where Saraguro is located here in the country of Ecuador in South America. All right, so I am part of these people.
Oh, I'm not sure we can see, if you're showing a screen, we can't see it quite. I think it might be a different tab or a different window.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
No
so I'm going to. Okay, sorry. Just give me a second then. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I am part of the Saraguro people, which is part of the Quichua Nation, which spans across all Ecuador and several countries in South America. I grew up in the Amazon, even though my people's territory is located in the southern Andean territory of Ecuador. But yes, the Saraguro people is also spread in the southern Amazonian region of Ecuador. That's one of the characteristics of indigenous peoples as well, like to spread and to migrate to other indigenous territories. But then I moved back to my people's territory in the Andes, and that's when I gained a scholarship to study abroad, and I went to study at UBC in Vancouver, Canada. I did a major in First Nations and Indigenous Studies when I was in the third year of my studies is when I met Vanessa Andreotti, a professor at UBC, who introduced me to Victor Temprano, who is the founder of Native Land Digital. So that's when Victor Temprano hired me to work as a research assistant in June 2018. And so that's when I started working for Native Land Digital. Since 2018 till 2020, early 2020, my work was focused mostly around the northern area of the world. More specifically, it was focused on Canada and the United States. I did some work over Aotearoa, New Zealand, and also Australia. So when I started working for Native Land in 2018, Victor Temprano had already created hundreds of maps, and those maps needed to be updated, and there was a lot of work to be done in terms of correcting the boundaries of the territories, and the users were reaching out and sending in their observations, their or sources as well that could be used for updating those maps. So that's when I had to step in and start doing research for the updates for those maps. It was a hectic time because there were lots of emails that were coming in, and I, as part of my work, I had to handle the emails as well. So I was like reading what people were asking for, and then like replying to them, and then and doing the updates that had to be done. So it was then that after the first semester of 2020 that I started doing research for the from Mexico to Argentina, covering what is known as Latin America, and there were a bunch of maps, not many. Mostly those were located around Mexico, but needed a lot of updates as well. And the Caribbean islands as well were covered during that time until now. So I'm going to share my screen for, okay, so just to be more explicit with the images. This is the native land map for those of you who are not familiar with this map yet. So this this is the area in which I was located here in Vancouver, and then it was the part that I put a lot of focus on as well, because I was a little bit more familiar with what was going on in terms of territory acknowledgements and the activism that is going on with the indigenous peoples in this area. So Victor Temprano had created the maps for Australia. I had to do some updates here as well, not that much because of the because I am not very familiar with what is happening with the indigenous peoples here. And Victor Temprano was once in Australia, and he learned that the map source that he used for creating all these maps were the source was not very accurate, and that it didn't consider several aspects of the histories of the peoples in these territories. So we had to put a pause on the work we were doing here because of the lack of more official sources, precisely. The maps for New Zealand were added during that time as well. And then later on, after 2020, where all the maps that we can see here were added. There was a lot of work, yes, we also updated these maps for Mexico, and now I am going to go back to the slides. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. So in terms of sources, the sources that we use in native land for creating these maps, the best sources are considered to be the ones that come from the indigenous peoples and nations knowledges. It's sometimes there are community members who reach out to us and share with us maps or information that we can use for creating or updating a map. Or when searching online, I can find on official websites. On those websites, many nations have the maps of their territory. Some of them are in work, some of them are somewhat definite, but those are the official ones that we use. For instance, I'm going to show you the source that we have for, let me see, this is the, it was, okay, sorry, it's not open. Okay, let me find one. I think there's one around here. Okay. Yeah, this was a big one. It took a lot of time for me to draw this map. This map we can find on the official website of the Syrox Nation. When we have these maps, these sources, it is the best thing that we can have to work creating maps to add to native land, because this gives us more confidence to create, even though it can be hard because sometimes there are no certain geographical features on the base map that we use on native land to draw this traditional territory map. And in those cases, it is pretty hard to follow certain lines of the boundaries of the map that I am drawing. But nonetheless, these are the best ones. Some community members have shared with us the files in formats that we can just upload to native land. That's also really good for us, because that's the most official file that we can work with. And so I'm going to go back to, okay, just give me a second, please. Okay, just, okay. So the other source that we use is Google. Yeah, most of the research that I personally do is using Google. There are so many information that we can find in Google for creating maps, but the problem is that a lot of that information is we cannot track where it comes from, but nonetheless we can find lots of maps from various times. That can be confusing as well, because there can be a map from, let's say, 1935 and the other one from 1800s. And based on that, I have to look for the information that is that repeats more. And the other source is the academic sources. We have we do not necessarily go after academic sources, but they come through when doing the Google search. When it comes to these sources, there are many of them that are from decades ago, and they can include terms and references to indigenous peoples that are not very respectful, and sometimes those sources are not very precise in terms of territories as well. And so we have to, I have to well, the keyword here is triangulation. I have to do a triangulation of information when there is no official maps from the nation. I have to triangulate the information that I can find, let's say, starting from, let's say, Wikipedia, and other information that I can find from a scholar, other information that I can find. Probably sometimes there are just mentions in some official websites, even though there's not maps, but there are mentions about the extension of a territory. So I have to use all that information in order to create one. We try to do errors in tending towards like extending the boundaries towards more territory rather than making it smaller than it should be. Users or some community members reach out, and if they see there is a mistake, or if we have to expand the territory, or sometimes there are neighboring nations that reach out and say, hey, this territory is covering, this map is covering a territory that is not part of this nation, but ours. So in that case, I go back to the map and do the respective updates. As I said before, one of the some were for not for all of the maps, but for many, there have been issues when there are no geographical features on the base map. Yeah, that can contribute for certain errors when drawing the maps as well. What's interesting when drawing the maps and receiving help from community members is that we build this communication that's going back and forth. Some of them give us certain information. I do the update and then send this the link for the map for them to check and give more observations. And if they stated that the map is okay to be published, then I can just go and publish the updated map. And that's interesting, because when we are drawing a map, we are using that help from community members. Oh, I am forgetting something here. Okay. When it comes to sources for drawing the maps, sometimes there are no written books, or there are no draw maps, but certain community members know the story of the history of their territory. They have heard from their elders where they used to go hunting, or where they used to live, and they provide us with those references. Sometimes well, not sometimes, when this happens, we ask them to help us with a hand-drawn map. They can use a screenshot and then draw a map, and then we can use that as a reference map for the shape that I draw here for native land. So in that's another form of opening a space for community members to contribute to the creation of a shape of the territory, a map of their nation. So yes, now when it comes to native naming maps, there are it is a big job as well. There are names that are not the traditional name of a people or a territory. Those are called the exonyms, and their traditional name, the name that they put for themselves, are the endonyms. For a lot of indigenous peoples and the nations, the most well-known names are usually the names that other people put to them. So when doing research and creating the maps, at the beginning we used to use those exonyms, those non-official names, and then we had requests from people to change that, and then we started to work updating those names. When people sometimes asked for certain updates of the boundaries of the map, I would ask if the name is correct, or if they have another name for their territory or their people, so that I can change that, or sometimes for the languages as well. I would ask them if the name was the right one, or if they could share with us what is the right name for the map that we have on native land. And when it is available, we also usually put the territory name in the map, and the nation's name within parentheses close to the territory name. I'm going to share again this. Give me a second, please. Okay, just changing the screen. Okay. Let me see if I find. Okay. So let's see this one. So this, I'm not going to pronounce this because this is a name that I cannot remember how to pronounce. But this is the name, the endonym, and this otomi is the exonym. However, even if we in native land put their endonym as the principal one, when searching, doing research online, it's hard to find information sometimes when using their proper name. Sometimes we have to search using the name that is not proper for them, because that's the name that is used in most sources that are available online. Probably that's not with the case of the Otomi people, because they are very well known, but that happens with other nations or names that are less well known. The other for here we can have an example with the okay, so here, for instance, we have the Walmapu name for, this is the name of their territory, and we have Mapuche for the people. So that's how we go about naming now. So give me a second. I'm going to come back to presentation. Okay, the other aspect of naming the maps is when a people is present in more than one country. For instance, let's say there is one that is located in Peru, and the other one is located in Brazil, and the other one is in Colombia. So I am going to show you again this example. I think I have, okay, this is one. This is a people that is present in these three countries, and they have different names. They have certain resemblance, but there is changes. So we have to use those names, because otherwise it is confusing when we are organizing the maps. And then later on, if we have to do a update, and let's say one person from Brazil reaches out and then asks us to do an update, or sometimes they ask us to add, let's say, a map for the Inikana people, and we have the map just named as Kukama Kukamiria. And then it's difficult. It happened to me a couple of times when I used just one name, and then after that I decided to put those the names that they have. If they have more than one name, more than one official name, I had to do that, to add all the names that they have in order to be able to locate those maps later when doing updates. Yes, we also have to use the name that's not proper of them, because when I did it for several maps as well. I just used their endonym, their proper name, and we received emails asking us to add a map, let's say, for the Ute people, and it was already there. So I think that for now we have to we still depend on those on the names that are most well known, for the general people, and those names that are more searchable online, until we become more familiar with the traditional names of the indigenous peoples, so that we can start to use their traditional names. Well, it depends as well on the people, the nation as well, because I have seen they use their names, the exonyms on their websites or in official documents as well. It seems that to just have this change to the traditional name is more complex than just asking to use that name on a platform like this, because there are more legal things that legal procedures and history that's already written with these names, and it's not just that quick to change. I am going to go back to the presentation. Okay, when it comes to special characters as well, there are names that have special characters, and there are certain maps that I was not able to name with their proper name, because I was not able to program my laptop to use those characters. And when I asked the community members to help me with the text of the name, I tried doing copy paste and was not able to do that because of my equipment as well. So there are, well, not much, but as I can remember, I think there were 2 maps that I was not able to do the right naming. Well, media. At the beginning, we avoided linking or uploading pictures or videos to the maps that we were creating on native land, because we wanted to avoid falling into using images that could cause harm to indigenous peoples, because of the abundant images and videos that stereotype indigenous peoples. So we just focused on adding official websites and map sources and the links to sources that we were using to create the maps. But while I was doing the research to create the maps, I could see that there were videos, there were pictures that showed the richness of the territories in which a nation or people were living in. And it became really monotonous to me to just have that information on the native land map. So it was last year that I started adding videos, the links of videos to along the individual maps that we have on native lands. There are really good videos, as there are some very stereotyping as well. And because of the time that it requires for us to put into doing the research and, let's say, watching a video from beginning to end to make sure that it is a good video, a convenient video to share along the territory or language map of a people. It could take a lot of time, as well as if I was reading, let's say, a book about a people just to create a map. It would be the best so that we can share the best information that we can have. However, because we have hundreds of maps to work on, we try to scan for the information that we want if it was like a text. But now if it's a video, I try to watch like parts of the video and see how it's being presented, and if it feels a right video to share, then I link that video to the map. Here I am going to just make a pause to share a little bit of how I learned to recognize the information that could be best used for sharing here. When I was doing my major at UBC, studying First Nations and Indigenous Studies, I acquired and developed certain sensibilities and skills to, let's say, curate the information that we can use to represent ourselves as Indigenous peoples. As before that, I was not really aware of the power that images like maps and pictures had on shaping the perceptions of ourselves as Indigenous peoples and of non-Indigenous peoples, and how that could empower or disempower us, or create certain perceptions that in others that could be harmful for us. So I generally go back to what I learned from those from my studies, and also trusting my own gut feelings when I see a video or a source that feels that could be right to share. Right now, with the rise of the sites like platforms like YouTube, there are many YouTubers, non-Indigenous YouTubers, that are going down, let's say, to South America and visiting isolated peoples or just Indigenous peoples and towns in general. And we can find a lot of videos of that kind on YouTube, but those sometimes are too sensationalist, and it's like, no, it doesn't feel like right to share on native land. So I have to I tended to disregard these videos and go for videos that are that feel that have another intention in their production. And there are videos that are produced by the Indigenous peoples themselves, or in cooperation with certain organizations or institutions. And yeah, we share that. Or there are videos about certain community member that is doing a significant work for the community. Let's say they are working to protect the forest, or they are working on certain projects to save their language. That's like, those are examples of the videos that we can find, and those videos are shared as well with the maps that we have on native land. Now, Facebook is like another tool, that another platform where we can find videos produced by the community members. Many communities do not have an official website, but they have their Facebook page, and they use those pages to share the day-to-day activities or meetings that they have. So I can use those videos and link to the maps that we have on native land as well. Vimeo is another platform. There are not lots of videos as in YouTube and Facebook, but there are certain videos that are used from that platform as well. For languages, it is good to share those videos as well, because we can see the faces of the actual people, and also listen to the sound of the language. And YouTube and Facebook as well are really good platforms for having those videos and finding people or community members sharing about the language, sharing stories, sharing songs about their in their languages. And that's very that's great to be able to listen to those sounds. Impact. The impact that native land has is in terms of visibilization of indigenous peoples. To myself, it was a big surprise to become aware, to know that there were so many indigenous peoples still present, even though I am an indigenous person, but I didn't know that there were so much of us still present here in this continent and in other parts of the world. And to be able to show that presence, to show their websites so that the users of native land can go and read and see what they are doing that's a very positive impact for native land to have on the people that on the world. The other one is education. There is a lot of people that learn a lot through native land, and they come to learn about the indigenous nations that live in or the traditional owners, let's say, of the territories that they are living on. They send emails thanking native land, the indigenous community members as well. They send emails thanking native land for the work that the native land is doing in terms of making ourselves visible, and also sharing the information for people to become educated about the territory they are standing on. The other impact is in terms of the change in the perceptions that we have about this, the lands, about these continents. We are used to certain forms of cartography, like looking at the political divisions of this, let's say, this continent. But when we look at the native land, we can see that there are so many overlaps. It's like like messy in some ways. It took time to me to get used to it. I didn't like to see it at the beginning, to be honest, because of this overlapping. But like I reflect on that. I take my time and reflect on that, and that's a natural way of inhabiting our world, and that's how we have done it, and that's how we still do it. It's not that we have like definite boundaries. It is an overlap. It is a shared territory, and that's how we still live until now, even though we still have even though we may have the official territory maps, but there are overlaps in use with territories and the movements that we have and do within those territories. Now it is 8 p.m. already here, so this is my presentation for now. Yupaichani, thank you everyone. I was very nervous. It's been a while since I did my last presentation to a public, so I did so many mistakes now, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Victor. Yeah, it is about 8 o'clock. I do think we have time for maybe one or maybe two questions, depending on how quickly we get through them. There are some from the chat that I wanted to make sure we got through. And actually, Steve Edgar had a question that I also had. Actually, since you're sharing your screen, Victor, would you mind opening up the map again and going to
Sure.
Chicago? So there's a question, to your last point about the overlapping nature of these territories. If you hover over Chicago, there's, I think, 7 or 8 different territories that, yeah, if you go up a little bit further north, towards the Lake Michigan there, kind of like right at the corner. Yeah, you can kind of see it just a little bit to the right. Yeah, right around there. So there's many territories that cover Chicago or that overlap on top of Chicago. And one thing that came to mind in thinking about how the impact of this map is a common thing in the United States, especially, I'm sure probably other places as well, but to do land acknowledgements is to say, we are standing on the land that was of these different nations. What would you say is like a sort of a proper way of doing that kind of land acknowledgement when there are so many? Is there an order or anything like that, or how would you recommend folks do that or make that acknowledgement given that complexity?
Well, land acknowledgements are. I learned about that when I was living in Canada. It's not something that we do here in the South, especially here where I live in Ecuador. So I did, what I can say is that it is best if you ask someone who is a community member from from those nations, from those territories. I think that those are the people who are the ones to go to ask about this information. But like us, if I am not wrong, like they know that which territory is shared territory, and I would say that there's no right order, but acknowledging each and every one of them is like a general good practice, I would say.
Okay, great, thank you. And then I think, yeah, we can maybe do one last one since it was in the chat. So are the borders drawn to depict territory prior to colonization, or do they account for resettlement? And I'm kind of also generally curious about sort of the time aspect. Like obviously these territories have changed over the years. Is there a way to represent that, or is there a sort of a particular method that you went through in terms of how you went about mapping these as with respect to when they were these territories were the shape that we depict them?
Is that's another big one. At some point, there was a consideration of for having another map layer for maps across time periods, so that we can see the changes that these maps of the territories have gone through. However, we tend to go for the, let's say, the bigger one, because some sources may point to certain boundaries, but there are others that point to other ones. So plus there is movement of people, sometimes forced movement, sometimes there is just the course of natural migration of people. So it can change, but we try to encompass all of them. Let's say if someone is living now in a reserve that is pretty far from their traditional territory, so there are maps in which those are like, there is a map for the reserve and there is a map for the traditional territory, and there's an option. Let's see, I think there's the people, one of them is the Cherokee, which with the name, where are they? Okay, I think they are linked with the other territory. Little maps, Cherokee. Okay, yeah, here we can see there is the Cherokee territory in Oklahoma. So we cross-link them, so we do not live outside the other territory, right? So there are other ones in which they are we don't have, well, at that time we didn't have the option to create multiple polygons or multiple maps in like one map. So we had to like create a big one here and then just just draw a line and then do the other shape here. Let me see if I can find this a map like that. I cannot recall a specific. Oh, okay, here's one. Okay, I just saw it. Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think these are the Garinagu. Yes, so that's how we do, right? So we have to include, because anyways, that's they are not going back from here to there, right? So we have to include all of that.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. I think that we're over time, but thank you again for your presentation. This was really great. I think for folks on the live stream, I think we're going to switch over to the civic hacking portion of the evening. We'll drop a link to that in the chat. It's bit.ly/CHN remote Zoom. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Josh. So folks can head over there now. We'll get that part started if it hasn't started already. And again, Victor, thank you for presenting about Native Land Digital.
Thank you, Derek.